The gavel slammed, echoing like a gunshot through the courtroom, silencing every whisper. All eyes locked on Aisha Carter, a black nurse standing alone, her scrubs a stark contrast to the suits around her. She wasn't supposed to be here. Aisha, a single mother and ICU nurse, had spent the last decade saving lives, not fighting them in court. But today, she stood accused not of a crime, but of something far more insidious, daring to exist as herself. The judge, a man with a face carved from years of unchallenged authority, sneered at her attire. "This is a courtroom, not a hospital ward," he barked. "Your scrubs are a disrespect to this institution." The room gasped, the air thick with the sting of his words. Aisha's heart pounded, but her feet stayed rooted, her eyes unyielding. The accusation stemmed from a small-town incident that had spiraled out of control. Aisha had been volunteering at a free clinic, treating a white patient who later filed a complaint, claiming she was unprofessional for wearing scrubs instead of proper attire. The complaint, laced with racial undertones, had escalated to this. A public hearing meant to humiliate her. The judge's words weren't just about clothing, they were a coded attack on her identity, her blackness, her place in a world that often refused to see her worth. Aisha's mind raced back to her childhood in rural Georgia, where her grandmother's hands, calloused from years as a maid, taught her to stand tall. "They'll try to shrink you, baby," she'd said, "but you're bigger than their hate." Those words burned in Aisha's chest now, fueling her resolve. She straightened, her scrubs creased but proud, a badge of her service. The judge demanded she apologize for her disrespect. The room waited, breath held, for her to bow. But Aisha didn't bow. She spoke, her voice steady, cutting through the silence like a scalpel. "Your Honor, these scrubs aren't just clothes. They're my armor. I've worn them saving lives, black lives, white lives, every life. I wore them when I held a dying man's hand, when I stayed up 36 hours to keep a child breathing. You call them disrespectful? I call them my duty." The courtroom stirred, a ripple of murmurs spreading. The judge's face reddened, but Aisha wasn't done. "I stand here because someone saw my skin before my service," she continued, her voice rising, not in anger, but in truth. "They saw a black woman and decided I didn't belong. But I belong everywhere I save a life. I belong here, in this courtroom, because justice isn't just for those who fit your mold." Her words landed like blows, each one dismantling the prejudice cloaked in protocol. The crowd leaned forward, some nodding, others wiping tears. The judge, flustered, tried to interrupt, but Aisha's presence commanded the room. She spoke of her patients, the elderly man who called her angel as she adjusted his oxygen, the young mother who gripped her hand during a C-section, the countless faces who saw her scrubs as hope. "You shame these scrubs," she said, "but they've carried more humanity than any robe in this room." A man in the back, a stranger, stood, clapping slowly. Then another, and another, until the room erupted. Black, white, young, old, they rose, not just for Aisha but for the truth she laid bare. The judge slammed his gavel, demanding order, but the sound was drowned by applause. Aisha stood still, tears in her eyes but her chin high, a pillar of resilience in a world that tried to break her. The hearing ended with no formal ruling, but the victory was clear. Aisha walked out, scrubs still on, her steps echoing with purpose. The crowd parted, some reaching out to touch her arm, to thank her. Outside, the sun hit her face, and she breathed deeply, feeling the weight of her grandmother's words. She hadn't just defended herself, she defended every person told they didn't belong. Days later, the clinic received an outpouring of support. Donations poured in, and patients requested Aisha by name. The judge's words faded, but Aisha's stood eternal, a testament to the power of standing tall. Her scrubs, once a point of shame, became a symbol of defiance, of humanity unbroken. And in that small courtroom, a black nurse in scrubs had shifted the world, one truth at a time. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.